A debit card doesn't simply authorize purchases, it gives anyone who steals your information a direct path to the money you've worked your entire life to save. Not a temporary credit line, not a pending transaction. The actual cash sitting in the checking account where your Social Security deposit arrives every month. Most people who become victims believed the same thing. My bank has fraud protection. I'll be fine. Banks do offer fraud protection, but many people misunderstand how it works. In most cases, it doesn't prevent the money from leaving your account. The funds disappear first, and only then does the bank begin investigating what happened. While that investigation is underway, life doesn't pause. Your mortgage payment is still due. Utility bills continue to arrive. Insurance premiums must be paid. Prescription medications still need to be purchased. Even if the bank eventually returns your money, the financial stress during that waiting period can be overwhelming for someone living on a fixed retirement income. Today, I'm going to tell you why debit card fraud hits retirees harder than almost anyone else. The federal rule most people have never heard of, and the simple account setup that can prevent a stolen card number from ever reaching your retirement income. Before I go one sentence further, I want to address the 3 reasons most people watching this will assume this video does not apply to them. Because all 3 are wrong, and all 3 will cost you if I let them stand. The first assumption, you check your balance regularly. So, you would catch fraud fast? What you will catch is the aftermath. The money leaves the moment the transaction posts. A skimmer installed at a gas pump you stopped at 3 weeks ago can generate a $2,400 withdrawal at 3 in the morning on the exact day your mortgage payment is scheduled to go out. You will catch it at 9 a.m. when your phone starts ringing because the payment bounced. The second assumption, your bank has fraud protection, so you are covered. Your bank does have fraud protection. What your bank does not have is a rule that puts the money back while they investigate. The investigation happens first. Your account stays drained during it. That investigation can take 10 business days under federal law, up to 45 days if the transaction crosses international lines. Your bills do not wait 10 business days. The third assumption, this is for people who shop online and you use your card in person at places you trust. According to FICO's 2025 data, more than 243,000 debit cards were compromised by skimming. Last year alone, up 5% from the year before. And skimming is by definition a physical attack. Gas stations, ATMs, restaurants where a server carries your card out of your line of sight for 45 seconds to run it at the terminal. The transaction looks completely normal. You signed for it and your card number is already cloned before you finish your meal. Later in this video, I am going to show you the simple 2-account system that financial professionals use to make sure a skimmer can never touch the account where their income lives. It takes one phone call to set up. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we go through the rest of this because every problem I am about to describe has a straightforward fix. The fix is the same every time. Now, here is why none of this ever comes up in a conversation with your bank. Every time you swipe a debit card, your bank earns a fee from the merchant. The more you swipe, the more they earn. That means the branch manager, who has been friendly with you for 15 years, has no financial reason to sit you down and say, here is the payment method in your wallet with the weakest protection and the highest risk of draining your checking account. That conversation costs the bank money. So, it never happens. That is not a conspiracy. That is an incentive. And here is what makes it worse. In 2026, Congress voted to roll back the rules that would have capped overdraft fees at $5. Americans paid over $12 billion in overdraft and return payment fees in 2025. The banks collecting those fees are the same banks that profit every time you swipe your debit card. Here's the difference between your debit card and your credit card that your bank will never put in writing for you. With a debit card, the money leaves your account the moment the fraud happens. If you catch it fast and report within 2 days, your maximum loss is $50. Wait longer than 60 days and you could lose everything the criminal took. The bank is not required to return a dollar beyond what the law requires. And during the investigation, which can run 10 business days or longer, your account stays exactly as drained as the criminal left it. With a credit card, the fraudulent charge never leaves your account in the first place. It sits as a disputed item. You owe nothing on it while the investigation runs. Every major issuer in the country will reverse it immediately when you report it. You never lose access to a single dollar. 2 cards, 1 wallet. One of them pulls money from your account before anyone investigates. The other one does not. That is the entire difference. And it is the one your bank is not explaining. Here is the scenario that plays out thousands of times every month across this country. A 67-year-old retiree has her Social Security deposited on the 3rd of the month. The amount is $2.71. She uses her debit card for groceries, gas, and a few online subscriptions. On the night of the 4th, a criminal uses her card number taken from a skimmer at a gas station. She visited 2 weeks earlier to make 4 purchases totaling $1,620 at retail stores in another state. She wakes up on the 5th, and her account balance is $451. She calls the bank immediately and reports the fraud. The bank opens an investigation. Under federal law, the bank has 10 business days to provisionally credit her account. Some banks do this right away. Many do not. They are legally permitted to wait until the investigation concludes before returning anything. Meanwhile, her automatic mortgage payment of $890 goes out on the 10th. Declined. Her utility payment of $140 goes out on the 12th. Declined. Her supplemental insurance premium of $210 goes out on the 15th. Declined. Each declined payment generates an overdraft or returned item fee. At the major banks most seniors use, that fee still runs $34 to $35 per transaction, and each creditor may charge its own return payment fee on top of that. By the time the fraud investigation closes and her funds are restored, she's incurred $15 in bank fees, $75 in creditor fees, a returned payment notation on her insurance file, and 12 days of calling every creditor individually to explain a situation that was not her fault and that nobody warned her was possible. The fraud was not the worst part. The infrastructure collapse around the fraud was the worst part, and every bit of it started with one card attached directly to the account where her income lives. This is the part where some people watching think this still does not apply to them because they have reserves and a couple thousand set aside. If that describes you, I want you to stay with me for the next 5 minutes because the strategy I'm about to describe is not just for people living close to the financial edge. It is for anyone who does not want a criminal in another state determining the timing of their financial disruption. And the setup takes one phone call. The strategy is called account separation, and it is what people inside the financial industry have quietly used for themselves for decades while handing debit cards to everyone else. Here is how it works. You maintain one account as your primary account. This is where your income lands. Your Social Security deposit, your pension check, your investment distributions, all of it flows into this account. You do not hand this account number to merchants. You do not swipe a debit card connected to this account at gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, or anywhere a terminal could be tampered with. This account is where your money lives and it faces the world as little as possible. Then you open a second account, a spending account with a separate debit card, and a low balance you fund periodically from your primary account. You put $300 in it at the start of the week. You use that card for routine daily purchases. If a skimmer captures that card number, the criminal gets access to whatever is left in the spending account. $300 or less, not $2,701, not your entire monthly income, not the account your automatic payments run through. Better than a spending account, debit card is replacing it with a credit card entirely, not to carry a balance, not to pay interest. You use the credit card for every purchase. You pay it in full each month on the due date, and every transaction on that card is protected by the Fair Credit Billing Act. Zero liability, immediate reversal if fraud occurs, and your checking account, the one your mortgage and utilities and insurance run through, never touches a merchant terminal in your life. If you do not want a credit card because you do not want the temptation of a balance, the two-account debit strategy works just as well. The principle is the same. Put a wall between the account where your income lives and the account that faces the world. A criminal who skims your spending card gets $300 and a headache. A criminal who skims your primary account gets your rent, your electric bill, and your medication budget. I want to address one more thing directly before we move on. Some of you are thinking your bank already offers a zero liability policy on your debit card, and you are covered no matter what. Here is what that policy actually is. Your bank's zero liability debit card policy is a voluntary internal policy. It is not a federal law. The Fair Credit Billing Act protection on a credit card is a federal law passed by Congress. Your bank cannot change a federal law on a quarterly earnings call. Your bank can change its own internal policy anytime it chooses. Banks have restricted, narrowed, and added conditions to their voluntary zero liability policies before, and they will do it again when fraud losses climb high enough. The people who rely on a voluntary bank policy instead of a federal law are one internal memo away from a very different conversation at the branch. There are 4 specific situations where a debit card is still the right tool. I want to be exact about them because the goal here is not to throw your debit card in the trash. The goal is to use it only where it makes sense and nowhere else. ATM withdrawals at your own bank's machine. You are withdrawing your own cash, not presenting your card number to a merchant system. Use your body to shield the keypad when you enter your PIN. Before you insert your card, take 2 seconds to check whether the card slot looks loose or different from what you remember. A legitimate ATM card reader is solidly attached to the machine. If anything moves when you touch it, walk away and use a different machine or go inside. The skimmer risk at an ATM is real but manageable with 2 seconds of attention. Small local businesses that do not accept credit cards are a reasonable exception. Pay the minimum amount needed for that transaction. Use the spending account card, not your primary account card. Government payments and utility bills where the agency charges a credit card convenience fee of 2.5 to 3% makes sense on a debit card. On a $200 utility bill, a 3% credit card fee costs you $6. If the same payment posts for free on a debit card, use the debit card. Use the spending account card, not the card attached to your primary income account. And any business that offers a cash or debit discount. Same rule. Spending account only. Here is your security checklist for every debit card you keep active. Transaction alerts set to every single transaction in real time, not a daily summary digest. 1 text message the moment your card is used anywhere for any amount. The second a transaction appears that you did not make. Not days. Call your bank today and confirm this is running on your account. If it is not, ask them to turn it on before you hang up. A daily spending limit lower than your bank's default. Most banks automatically assign debit. Spending limits of $500 to $1,000 per day. Call and ask them to lower your limit to $200 or $300. This does not prevent you from making larger plan purchases with a quick call to authorize them. It does mean a criminal with your card number cannot run $900 in transactions across 3 states before sunrise. Never store your debit card number in an online retail account. If that retailer's database gets breached and your card is stored there, your checking account is the breach. Enter the number manually each time or ask your bank about virtual card numbers if they offer that option. Review your account every 3 to 4 days, not monthly. The 60-day window in the Electronic Fund Transfer Act is not generous. Discovering fraud in week 7 is already inside the zone where your legal liability expands significantly. 3 minutes every few days. Open the app. Scan the last 10 transactions. Anything unrecognized, call immediately. And one final rule that applies every single time you stop for gas. Never swipe a debit card at a gas pump. Walk inside and pay at the register, or use a credit card at the pump. Gas station pump skimmers account for a disproportionate share of all debit card fraud reported to the FTC each year. The pumps sit unattended for hours at a time. Modern skimmer hardware has become small enough to install inside the pump housing where no visual inspection from outside will find it. A credit card at a gas pump costs you nothing extra and permanently removes the single highest risk swipe location in daily life from your checking account. Here is the full picture. Your debit card is governed by a different and weaker federal law than your credit card. During a fraud investigation, your money can sit out of reach for up to 10 business days while your automatic payments keep going out and fees start stacking. Your bank's voluntary zero liability policy is not a federal law, and it can be changed without notice. The account separation strategy takes one phone call to set up and permanently removes your primary income account from the reach of any merchant terminal. And there are 4 situations where a debit card still makes sense. ATM withdrawals at your own bank, businesses that do not accept credit, government payments with convenience fees, and cash discount situations. Use it in those 4. Replace it with a credit card or a low-balance spending account for everything else. Send this video to one person you know who is still running their Social Security deposit and their daily purchases through the same debit card. That one share might save them $2.71 next month and 10 days of phone calls to creditors while their bank finishes an investigation they never saw coming. That is what this channel is here to do. So I will see you in the next